This episode may contain content that could be distressing or objectionable to certain listeners. Please refer to the episode show notes for details. Discretion is advised. Hello! Welcome to Your Movie, My Movie with Dan and Steve.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Steve. This is a podcast where one of us picks a movie to watch and we discuss it together. In this episode, we'll be talking about one of my picks, the 1973 movie Soylent Green, starring Charlton Heston, Lee Taylor Young, Chuck Connors, Brock Peters, Edward G. Robinson, and Dick Van Patten. Screenplay by Stanley R. Greenberg, based on the 1966 novel Make Room, Make Room by Harry Harrison, and directed by Richard Fleischer.
Pew, 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 pew. Star-studded cast right there.
Yes, very much so, especially Dick Van Patten.
Especially Chuck Connors.
Well, they're all great. But we will be talking about spoilers. So if you want to watch the movie first, now's the time to do so. But before we talk about the movie, Dan, who would you recommend this movie to?
I would recommend this movie to anyone who needs to feel unalone in their despair, this depressing, dying universe.
Uh-huh.
Or I guess mainly just planet.
Yeah. It's a planet, for sure.
Yeah. So, Steve, who would you recommend this movie for?
I would recommend this movie to anybody who wants to know what the world would be like tomorrow. Because this movie accurately depicts it.
Well, technically 2 years ago.
Well,
I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah, this movie shows what the world will be like tomorrow. So let me get on my rant.
If we don't stop it.
Say that again.
If we don't join together and stop it.
Well, maybe. So let me get on my rant. Let me do my rant. I got a rant already.
All right. Where's the soapbox? Somebody get the soapbox.
Okay. And if you want to know how we got here, okay, I'll tell you. Oh, I forgot everything.
Wait, were you gonna start talking about the Gilded Age and
no,
industrialization?
Not that far back. See, the thing is that this movie, okay, it's based on a book called Make Room, Make Room.
Mm-hmm.
And what that book is about is it's supposed to be about the dangers of overpopulation.
Okay.
Which makes sense because this was written essentially this was written after the baby boom.
Okay.
World War II ended in 1945.
Uh-huh.
And there's millions of American soldiers came back home. And then they wanted to, get married, start families, have their own homes. And that's what led to the baby boom generation being born.
Uh-huh.
So because there was that huge population influx, it's understandable to see, well, if the next generation has kids just like that, again,
mm-hmm.
we could be very overpopulated very soon.
Yeah.
So, that concern is very understandable. But here's what this movie didn't count on. It didn't count on late stage capitalism causing economic factors that would cause the people born after the boomers to not be able to have kids. And that's what we're facing now. See, that's what we're facing now.
Okay.
And it's important to understand that to understand what a hellscape the world is right now. Because one of the reasons why the world is such a hellscape as it is because the wealthy capitalist elites, they need a labor force.
I forgot. This is your Thanksgiving pick, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't step on me. Don't step on me.
No. I'm not stepping on you. I'm saying you're doing great. Healthy labor force.
Yeah. So, the capitalist elite need a large labor force. And they need a large labor force. And the reason why they need a large labor force is because the larger the labor force is, the cheaper labor can be.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more laborers there are, the more people are willing to labor for less money.
The more supply.
Yeah. Yeah, the less you have to pay.
Exactly.
But when there's a small labor force, there's competition for those people, which means their wages have to go higher.
Yeah.
So that's why the capitalist elite need a large labor force in order to drive wages down.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the paradox to that.
Yeah.
The capitalist elite, who own all the companies, they want to provide as little money in wages to their labor as possible.
Right.
Okay. Which means by giving the lowest wages possible means that the people can't afford to have children.
Yes.
So the capitalist elite have to decide whether to raise wages to people.
Say that one more time.
The capitalist elite have to decide whether to pay higher wages to their laborers so they can afford family, or to keep wages low so the laborers can't have families, which will reduce the labor force.
Right.
But they keep greater profits.
Right.
Okay. So, what the capitalist elite have done to try to have their cake and eat it too is they've joined forces with religious fundamentalists. Okay.
Yeah.
Because religion is based on exclusivity.
Okay.
We know which God is the right God, and other people are wrong.
Interesting take, but yeah, okay, I'm agreeing.
Okay, and it is our duty to. They believe that it's their duty to ensure that their religious beliefs are impressed on society, even though society may not believe in it, because that's the holy writ of God to them. God says this is how society should be. They believe that. Therefore, they believe that they should impose that on entire society, who, if they don't believe it, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So, both of those beliefs, the capitalist elites and the religious fundamentalists, they are in the minority.
Okay.
In a society of unregulated capitalism. Sorry, I had a bit of apple cider to drink. In a society of unregulated capitalism, the wealth flows to the elites, to the few elites.
Yes.
Which means that the masses have less of it.
Right.
Which means it is inherently undemocratic.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, once it gets started, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, from the beginning.
Yeah. And then you have religious fundamentalists.
Okay.
Who are also inherently undemocratic because they believe that they should impose their religious views on the rest of society as well.
Right.
Especially if their religious views impose restrictions based on other traits such as gender and the like.
Okay.
Okay. So both the capitalist elite, and religious fundamentalists,
yes,
their philosophies are inherently undemocratic.
Okay.
Okay. So, but we live in a democratic society.
Well,
Well, in theory.
We would like to.
Yeah. Okay.
Most of us.
Yeah. We live in a somewhat democratic society.
Yes. Here in America.
Yeah. In the United States. Okay. Our government is somewhat based on the idea of democracy.
The idea of it. Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. So what can the capitalist elite and the religious fundamentalists do to stop everyone else who use democracy to impose their own economic
power?
Well, not power, their own how does the capitalist elite how would they be able to stop when people use their democratic power to vote along their own economic interests, which would be, against the profit mongering of the capitalist elite,
right?
When they are democratically few.
Okay, so why don't the rich? How would the rich guys stop the people from voting for what they actually want?
Exactly, or voting to take the wealth away,
right,
from the capitalist elite,
right?
Likewise, how would a group of people who don't belong to that smaller religious fanatical faction, how would the religious fundamentalists get every member who's not? How would the religious fundamentalists get every voter who's not a member of the religion? How would they block that?
A lot of different ways.
Okay.
I'm assuming through...
Well, how would the religious fundamentalists do it? Because they're smaller, so they can't use the democratic process to impose their will on a larger populace.
Well, they get a hold of politicians who make laws.
Okay. Well, we're getting there.
With money.
Right. And who has the money?
The 1%.
The capitalist elite. Yeah. So what has happened in our society is the capitalist elite have joined up with the religious fundamentalists of our society.
Yes.
In order to impose their exclusive wills on the rest of the populace.
Well, it's not their exclusive will, Stephen. It's God's will.
Well, that brings me to, why do religious fundamentalists do this? Because according to libertarianism, unregulated capitalism is good because people will always vote or people will always act in their own economic self-interest.
Right.
Okay. Unless they have a reason to not vote in their own economic self-interest, such as if the self-interest of the afterlife is more important to them.
Right.
So if a religion teaches people that it's okay to suffer in this world, and that by suffering, they will get riches in the afterlife, they feel like they're able to vote against their own economic self-interests.
And in that, they are not expounding. What is the exponentially? They're exponentially increasing their holiness, or...
Yeah, they feel like they're being holy. They're feeling like by doing so, they get the grace of God, but not in this world, in the afterlife, which is forever and counts more than what happens in this world.
Right. So by suffering, almost they're doing better even.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I threw you off track.
No, that's okay. And so that's how the capitalist elite have joined with religious fanatics in our country to impose their will on everybody else. Both their philosophies of exclusivity, one based on wealth and the other based on religious doctrine. And it happened during Ronald Reagan's vice presidency.
But Stephen.
Yes.
What about the liberal media.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I was going to go on a racist tangent. Ironically racist. Anyways, Ronald Reagan. Yes.
yeah. So Ronald Reagan,
The devil. Who is the devil?
yes. Well, he understood this, you know.
Okay.
And so Ronald Reagan, he was the Republican candidate for the 1980 election.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Now before him, I can't remember which election it was, but it was Lyndon Johnson was the Democratic candidate, and Barry Goldwater was the candidate for the Republican Party at the time. Now, Barry Goldwater, he was a senator from Arizona.
Okay.
And he represented the libertarian wing of the Republican Party.
Okay.
So he just cared about business interests.
Right.
In fact, he wanted to keep the Republican Party away from the religious fanatics.
Interesting.
Because he knew, like, you know, that would be it.
Interesting.
You know, the fanatics, you know, you don't need that in the party.
Mm-hmm.
But Ronald Reagan used that during his presidency. But Ronald Reagan used, the religious right during his presidency.
Mm.
There was a political action group called the Moral Majority, led by Jerry Falwell.
Okay.
Who got evangelical Christians involved in politics.
Mm.
And Ronald Reagan joined forces with him because that way they could create a greater voting bloc that could act in each other's interests. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, the reason why Ronald Reagan did that on behalf of business interests is because what do businesses want? Profit.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care how.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care how so much that they don't care if women have access to their reproductive rights, or that minorities are second-class citizens, or that members of the LGBTQ plus community die. Because that's what happened during the AIDS crisis of the 80s that Reagan was responsible for. So, if you want to know why we're in the hellscape that we are, that's the reason why. That's why we are where we're at right now. And that's why we're facing climate change. It's not coming. It's not coming anymore.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah.
It's happening now.
Yeah.
We are at the beginning of a slow motion apocalypse. Okay? We are at the dawn.
Yeah.
Of ecological disaster.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is still rising.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because of capitalism run rampant.
Why it seems like, okay, so it seems like we've been feeling a shift towards fascism and religious fascism, right?
Yeah.
Why does it feel like other countries have been mirroring this? Is it just because I don't know a lot about politics. I don't know a lot about what is it called? My gosh. Economies and such, and money and stuff like that. But and so I know very little.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems to me like money is power.
Yes. And
power is the main goal of everything.
Well, power is money and money is power.
Right.
Is the thing.
Yeah.
The thing you have to remember is that this is nothing new.
But is the whole world capitalist? You know what I'm saying? Because I know it's not, but it seems like it is.
No, right at the moment, the whole world, there's a lot of capitalism to the world. Like, there's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is like, it's always been that way. Mm-hmm. Like, going back as far as the civil wars during the Roman Republic, that was, again, those civil wars were based off of proto-socialists and the moneyed elite who didn't want to give up any bit of power or any bit of money, even though what they were doing was causing their society to go bad.
Right. So
this has always happened. And it's also happened in recent memory, too. It goes back as, like, go look at the Banana Wars. The Banana Wars are a series of wars that the U.S. waged in Latin America.
okay. Yeah.
And it was on behalf of the fruit companies who wanted bananas. Bananas were such a great crop. It was such a, people were nuts for bananas.
Yeah.
That song, Yes, We Have No Bananas. That was a hit song in like the 20s and 30s because that's how much people wanted bananas. So in those Latin American countries, the fruit companies, they would get involved in the politics there to protect their banana crops, basically,
Right.
to protect the banana industry that they were in charge of. And there was a Marine Corps general. He won the Congressional Medal of Honor twice, Smedley Butler. And he fought on behalf. He fought in the Banana Wars.
Yeah.
Okay. This is in Central America, South America, and the Caribbean.
Right.
Okay. Like, he went. I can't remember which one it was. He went somewhere.
Okay.
And like he went to the National Bank and took all the gold. So and he did it so the American companies there would be paid back their debts.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he eventually retired from the Marine Corps. And during the Great Depression, he wrote a pamphlet saying, "War is a racket." And he said, yeah, I did all this on behalf of the private banks and the American fruit companies.
Holy shit.
In fact, there's something called the business plot.
Okay.
Now, after FDR got elected, it was the Great Depression, and he was his attempt was to use government debt to jumpstart the economy. Okay, basically.
Okay. Wait, who? Say it one more time.
FDR.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then he had what is it? The New Deal. The New Deal.
Yes.
Which was, the government would pay people to do certain kinds of work.
Right.
I believe
the highways,
the Tennessee Valley Authority. The highways was Eisenhower.
Oh, my bad.
It's okay. But the Tennessee Valley Authority, he did that. And he also did an arts program where he paid playwrights to stage plays.
Okay.
And it was all just to get, the economy going, because the private businesses, they, a lot of them didn't have the money to get the economy going. And the only organization that could be trusted with the debt was the American government. So this is what government debt and government spending is all about. It's like if you loan money to a business, that business could eventually go bankrupt.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you loan money to the government, well, how likely is it that government will fail?
Less than a business.
Exactly. So the government can sometimes be the most trusted borrower in times of economic crisis. And so FDR wanted to use the power of that debt to get the economy jump-started.
Wow.
But business interests were against them.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I understand.
You now understand the Great Recession.
Well, no, I understand part of national debt.
Okay. Yeah. That's very, very simplistic.
Right.
Because I don't study the economy.
Right.
I'm a writer. I could be wrong. But this is my understanding of it all. Okay. So Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he wanted to use government money. He wanted to use the government to, start government services to get the economy jump started again.
Okay.
Well, businesses existing who provide those services, they would be competing against the government.
Okay.
And a lot of businessmen didn't like the government getting into the arena of providing goods and services to people.
Okay.
so there was something called the business plot. So Smedley Butler accused some businessmen of doing what was called the business plot.
Okay.
Where they would do a coup against FDR and install Smedley Butler as the lead of a military junta that would enforce fascism across the country and reverse all of FDR's New Deal policies.
Wow.
And then, but he came forward, he told the FBI, and then nothing came of it. Nothing came of it.
Well, something came of it.
Well, it didn't happen. I mean, so that's nice.
Well, that is nice.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
So this is why America is a fucking hellscape now.
Yes.
And so the reason why I bring this up in relation to Soylent Green is...
Wait, I had something to say. I forgot what it was.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Let me finish this thought.
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
So the reason why America is a hellscape right now, and Soylent Green is a depiction of what our country will be like tomorrow. Well, that's why. The thing is that it's not overpopulation that we have to be concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
It is late stage capitalism, which is causing the climate change that's causing that hellscape.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
The thing that bothers me about the way the world is right now, one of the things is like, if we could just unsubscribe from the buy-in, right? From the idea that we need everything.
Mm-hmm.
We could be a lot better off. You know what I'm saying? Like if everyone just decided, hey, I don't actually need a Coca-Cola today or any day. I'll be okay without one. Yeah, it's nice.
That's true. But what happens when, the Coca-Cola company also owns like the water companies?
No, I know they do. I know they do. What I guess I'm saying is like our perpetuation of this is just animalistic.
Well, there's a lot of people who aren't perpetuating it simply because they cannot afford to.
That's fair too.
People are getting priced out. Like one of the things I wanted to say is, in the movie Soylent Green, we see the apartment buildings where people, are sleeping on the stairs because that's the only free room for them to sleep.
Right.
Okay. In that movie, it's because of overpopulation.
Yeah.
In real life, it's going to be because real estate companies have bought all the houses because they want to turn every American into a renter instead of a homeowner. And the politicians won't do anything about it because they keep getting campaign donations from the real estate companies, and us voters cannot compete with that.
Yeah.
That's the only difference.
Yeah. I'm also meaning, it's systematic, but
yeah,
it just sickens me to be here and be a part of it.
Yeah.
And keep going.
Yeah.
'Cause like, I buy gasoline every few weeks. Everyone does. But
the thing is, we live in South Florida, we can't get by on public transportation.
Yeah.
There's just not enough of it, Well,
no, and that's what
and there's not good infrastructure built for it, too.
Yeah.
I
don't know where I was going necessarily, other than it just sucks to be.
Yeah, you don't want to be a part of it, but you have no alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, where do we even start? And how do we start? And I don't know, man. It's just so depressing.
Yeah.
this movie did make me be thankful for things in a way too, because, you know, in the end, whenever, well, we'll get there, but what was his name? Saul or Solomon?
Yeah, Saul. His name is Solomon Roth, but his nickname means Saul. That's his nickname.
When Solomon, spoiler alert, when he goes, well, basically his whole character is he remembers what the generations below him have forgotten, which is he remembers the earth in a state of...
He remembers what the earth was like before the hellscape.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He actually remembers green grass and you know, flowers and...
He tasted strawberries.
Yes. And no one else has.
Well, Thorne hasn't. And, you know, Thorne is played by a middle-aged Charlton Heston. So he's middle-aged. Like, he's a fully formed adult.
Yeah. How old do you think he is in this movie? Because, like, he acts like he's, like, 35, but he looks like he's 45.
Yeah, you can be in his 40s, yeah.
50.
Well, here's the thing. Okay?
It's just funny. I don't know.
This is the second movie that him and Edward G. Robinson were in.
Really?
Because they were in the Ten Commandments together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Charlton Heston plays Moses, and Edward G. Robinson, he plays the Hebrew who convinces everybody else to worship the golden calf when he goes off to get the Ten Commandments.
And that's Aaron, right? That's Moses' brother?
No. No. It wasn't, you know, he didn't play Aaron, but he like convinced Aaron, you know, but yeah.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, Moses left us, see? We gotta worship something else. Let's make a golden calf.
Oh, crazy. Okay, wait. Now I won't get into that.
I wrote a paper on, you know, you mentioned him being in Little Caesar, which, hey, you know, we learned about that in film school. I wrote a paper on that. That's one of the papers I wrote on.
Little Caesar?
Yeah, Little Caesar.
Nice.
Well, I did it on gangster movies of the 1920s. That was my presentation, which included Edward G. Robinson. So, yeah.
And
here's the thing. So, you know, in this movie, so here, what happened? Okay, let's go over the plot very briefly.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a dystopian hellscape in New York City. It's the year 2022.
Yep.
And there's 40 million people living there.
Yeah.
And so what happens is there's this guy who's very wealthy. His name is Simonson. And he works for the Soylent company, which provides half the food supply to the world.
Yeah.
And they call it Soylent because it's supposed to be based on soybeans and plankton that was raised in the sea.
Well, I thought that was Soylent Green specifically.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
But other ones it's a combination of soybeans, vegetables, and such. Yeah,
there's Soylent Red, and there's Soylent Yellow, and there's Soylent Buns. And, you know, they say that it's all based on you know, soy, you know, manufactured soy, you know, and other things.
Yeah.
Well, the Soylent company hires a thug to assassinate him.
Right.
And Charlton Heston plays Thorne, who's a detective. And Edward G. Robinson plays Saul Roth, who was a college professor, but now he's what's called a book. And a book is a partner to a detective who does the research.
Yes.
So Thorne investigates Simonson's death. He finds 2 volumes of an oceanographic survey done by the Soylent company. He gives it to Saul to decipher.
Right.
He eventually does. And then he realizes that basically the earth is in an ecological collapse.
Yes.
The plankton is dying. Things aren't going to be able to grow anymore, and humanity will die. And Simonson found that out. And he couldn't keep quiet about that. So that's why the Soylent company hired an assassin to get him.
Yes.
And then Thorne realizes that, you know, it was the company that did it, but he didn't know why. So he goes to visit Roth to find out what he found out. And Roth basically wrote a suicide note.
Yes.
So we see Roth go to a suicide facility with Dick Van Patten. So he gets an usher.
I need to see what else he's in, because he's in.
He was in 8 and 8 is enough.
I've never seen that movie. I've seen a billion.
No. It's a TV show. It was a TV show.
He was in Bewitched, wasn't he?
No.
I Dream of Jeannie?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
I've seen him in many things.
Yeah. He's been in stuff, but mostly as a character actor. Like after 8 is Enough.
Okay.
8 is Enough was his big thing.
I'm sure, but like, I'm just trying to think of what I've seen him in.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead.
So, Roth has this existential, collapse, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to live anymore. So he goes to a suicide facility where, he's allowed to die in peace. And he sees video clips of how beautiful the world used to be set to light classical music.
Yes.
And he only has 20 more minutes. But in that 20 minutes, Thorne is able to get to him. And he's able to tell Thorne why Simonson was killed.
Mm.
And then we get to it's such a great visual storytelling. Because we follow Edward G. Robinson. Well, we follow Saul's body as it's taken out of the center and it's put onto what are called sanitation trucks, which look like garbage trucks, which all the bodies of the people who, allow themselves, where the bodies of all the people from the suicide facility, get dumped into.
Yes.
So the garbage truck drives off, and then Thorne jumps onto it and follows it, and basically goes to a Soylent Green factory where he sees that the bodies get processed into Soylent Green.
Yeah.
Soylent Green is people.
Soylent Green is people.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Tuesday is Soylent Green Day.
Yeah. And there's a riot because there's not enough of Soylent Green.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a capitalistic hellscape that, they want to feed us to each other.
Yep.
They want to profit from our deaths just as much as from our life. Did you know recently, I saw a headline where it was like, you can do work in your sleep.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, that was a Doctor Who episode.
Oh no.
And it's one of the few Doctor Who episodes where he loses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
And we'll all go down.
I don't know that song.
I don't know the song either.
Okay.
I know that chorus. Anyways. The dance band on the Titanic.
What?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm gonna cry, Steve.
Why?
Because we're all dying.
Well, yeah, but
that
happens anyway. But
there's movies.
Yeah, there are movies. I do have a lot of movies for us to watch, so that can be a reason for us to keep on living.
But there's a lot of beauty in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, not much.
Okay.
But where it is profound, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this movie once before when I was in high school or maybe, first year of college, whatever. And I was like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw the twist coming and the ending was kind of meh.
Yeah.
And watching it again, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. This movie has a lot more to say than I first thought.
Mm-hmm.
Just the hopelessness of it, just the bleakness of it, just the
exploitation of people,
the desperation.
Yeah.
And the desperation for connection and meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just gorgeous. It just says so much about society. Everyone is replaceable. Everyone is, property or profit or furniture. All the women are considered furniture. Basically, that's their term.
Mm-hmm.
Or not all of them, but pretty much everyone that has every woman that isn't on the street is called furniture in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically will stay with it. She's hired by the tenants, not the tenants, the
apartment
building to live with the people, whoever.
Well, the man,
yes.
Yeah.
The man.
The wealthy man who can afford it.
You're right. Yeah, the only families we see are families on the verge of dying on the street. And Thorn and Saul and them are a sort of family, and that's the most touching part of this film, I think.
And even Cheryl, who the name of the girl who's the furniture for Simonson.
Yes.
Even she and
Thorn,
they want a connection too.
They do.
I mean, that starts out, very exploitive.
Yeah.
But, it evolves into something more. But before we get to that.
Yeah.
You were talking about, how you didn't really take it seriously the first time you watched it. Well, this movie is a punchline. Like, it's just a punchline now.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think that movies with twists, it's all about the twist.
Yeah.
And then, this movie seems like it's very campy. If you just take the twist alone, that, Soylent Green is people, with Charlton Heston, he's not a subtle actor.
No, he's not.
He's hamming it up when he says that.
Yeah.
Soylent Green is people. It's people.
And his hand in the air, bloody, and like this reaching towards heaven, stiff-handed claw pose.
Yeah. There's actually a Saturday Night Live skit from the 90s. Where Phil Hartman plays, basically Charlton Heston. And it's like, I think it's like, all the sequels to Soylent Green. Like Soylent White is people. So this movie is a punchline.
Yeah.
But it's not funny if you actually watch it and look at it and see what it's trying to say.
Yeah.
This movie is more than its twist.
It's so much more. And honestly, watching it this time, I was the ending to me is the weakest part. The ending. Okay, once the story is really okay. If you're going to go by the mode of story is character, right, and the story is driven by character, then the story is Charlton Heston, Thorn, and Solomon, and what was the other woman? Cheryl. And that's the story. Is there and the mystery, of course.
Yeah,
but. I don't know. I didn't think he should have, like, the whole chase scene at the end. It took away from the ending for me.
You think so?
I think I don't know.
Because it's a very downer ending. Like, it's a downer ending, but it's not like a complete, like, full on, like, Requiem for a Dream kind of ending. You know what I mean?
Haven't seen it, but yes.
I haven't seen it either, but that's because I know what the ending is like. I'll put it to you this way. I will not watch that movie. I will not watch that movie. That movie is just way too depressing.
Fair.
Yeah. Like, it's a downer like for Soylent Green, it's a downer ending, but it's like not complete, the utter blackness, helplessness of humanity.
That's fair.
Because because Thorn does get the message out. He tells the chief of detectives, and also the exchange knows. But there's some ambiguity there because when Thorn got back from the Soylent Green facility, he went to the building where the exchange is. But there he's met by gunmen from the Soylent company. So maybe those gunmen had already killed the people in the exchange who know the secret too. Maybe not.
I honestly don't know what the exchange is. I lost that part of the plot.
So the exchange, that's like the elite of the books.
Okay. Oh no.
And Solomon, he went there to give them the oceanographic survey so they could read through it, and that's how he learned from them.
That was the exchange.
Yeah, those old people in like the library.
That was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Was Solomon going to the exchange.
Yeah.
Or the people. Yeah, I guess they're the exchange.
They don't have computers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just these keepers of the knowledge. Yeah. You see it in a lot of sci-fi books. Like I'm trying to think of Fahrenheit 451, like the people who memorize the books at the end. And, a lot of sci-fi novels have that.
Yeah.
But, it was just such a beautiful, beautiful scene. And that was one of the scenes where I was like, I don't know. It's just really, really touching. And you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm all scattered around.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, it is a great scene.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
it's not an action scene. Like
no.
But but that's where you get the information, and that's where you kind of learn what the secret is. That's where you that's the first major hint of like what the secret is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also all the elderly people, all the elders, you could say. And it's this past generation that they're just trying to keep holding on to this knowledge that everyone needs.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they aren't there, then civilization almost has no hope.
Yeah.
Because they have no way of knowing that they're being persecuted. You know what I'm saying? Like they know, obviously, but they have no idea the scope of it. They have no scope. They have no understanding. And they have no way to make a plan out of it.
Yeah.
But it's just like, and I think it's kind of beautiful too. I don't know, just the Solomon was his Roth, right?
Yeah, Solomon Roth.
He's Jewish.
Yeah, he's very Jewish.
He's very Jewish.
He's not too Jewish, but he's not afraid to be Jewish in this movie, which is great.
It's beautiful.
It's great.
And it's like, I don't know, I just that aspect of like the holy, almost reverence for knowledge, and just this council of people who are, I don't know, it's just so touching to me. And he talks to, I don't know what he addressed her as like almost like a queen almost.
Yeah, she's like the head of the exchange. Yeah.
And it was just like so beautiful. It was like a almost that one room felt like a utopian society.
Well, there's a lot of reverence to it.
Yeah.
Because knowledge, it deserves to be revered. But on the other hand, society is constantly evolving.
Yes.
And it's especially evolving when, like, there's a term for it. I don't know what the term is, but it's like, I know a time before there were computers. And then when my generation dies, everybody who's alive, they won't know what it's like to have a life without computers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, cars.
Yeah.
We don't know what it's like to have a world without cars.
Right. So the knowledge keeps increasing, but the context.
Well, that changes society. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So, Thorne, he doesn't know what strawberries taste like, and that knowledge will die with, Roth and all of those elders too.
Yeah.
So they don't know, they just, don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
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 So there are lots of things in this world that, because people die, it gets lost. That knowledge gets lost.
Yeah.
I believe in Africa, they have a saying that there are two deaths that people face. The first death is when your physical body dies.
Right.
But the second death is when all the people who ever knew you die as well.
Yeah.
Because then the memory of you goes away. So, that's what I'm kind of getting at. Like the memory of the taste of strawberries.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's a beautiful part of the movie. And it's just an interesting. It is even more poignant in the film just because they are also the keepers of like the books and the knowledge and sort of the free exchange of knowledge and ideas, it seems like. And they are a central hub of information. So, they're almost like the last stanchion, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The last bastion.
Bastion.
Yeah. Against the dark age that will come.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's incredibly reflective of the world today. This whole entire movie is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do we? I don't know.
Well, we're 50 minutes in, and I haven't even talked like about the acting or
No, but I mean,
the cinematography.
We started at a 10. How are we going to go to that? You know what I'm saying?
So I don't know. Do you want to talk about the acting?
I mean,
or are we just done?
I just wish that we had gotten. I don't know. I wish. Maybe we should
have started with the mousy tongue hour.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have, given us a lecture to begin with. It was a great lecture.
Oh, thank you.
No, you did fine.
We'll see. We'll see how many people fact check me on everything I said.
No, you did great.
Okay.
And I'm just going to stop complaining, and I'm going to figure out how to keep talking about this amazing movie.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Edward G. Robinson, he died 2 months after the release of this movie.
Holy shit.
And the only person he told was Charlton Heston. Because he
was sick?
Yeah, he had bladder cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so, when you see that part, where Saul is in the suicide room.
Yeah.
And they, have that exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Saul says, "I love you, Thorn.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, Saul." That was kind of real.
Yeah. I mean, it felt real. Like, it's just, that's one of the most touching parts of the movie is just like,
yeah.
Because there's nothing touching about the world they live in.
Yeah.
There's nothing hopeful.
Yeah.
And even, but yes, they are able to maintain a humanity and love,
mm-hmm.
and a relationship, and that's the most important part of this movie, I think.
Yeah.
That being said, also part of me is like, wow, they have an apartment and food, and they're climbing over the people every time they have to leave their apartment.
Yeah. And only the first floor of stairs, because after the first floor, it's guarded by somebody sitting there with an assault rifle.
That guy had the best line.
Well, there were two of them. It happened twice, because there was the guy who was in Chuck Connor's apartment building, but then it was also in Thorne's and Roth's apartment building too.
I was thinking of the Chuck Connor's apartment building.
Yeah, that was funny.
I'm trying to find. Okay, yeah. Okay, so. All right, so Thorne walks in, and it's like this beautiful shot. There's a staircase leading up to the left, a staircase leading up to the right, and a little one in the middle that divides them. And there's a bare-chested man,
mm-hmm.
with his belly out, sitting on a chair in the middle with an M16.
Yeah,
and he just says, "What may I do for you, sir?"
Yeah.
Like, so politely, so eloquently.
Yeah, to compare him to Charles from the Chelsea Towers.
Yes. Charles is the pimp, you could say.
Well, he's more like the concierge of the hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he's also the pimp.
Well, yeah, but that's because the hotel owns the women,
yes,
and refer to them as furniture.
Yeah, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that shows you, just how much the wealthy elite exploit people.
Yeah.
And just view them as things.
But it's also, it shows you how capitalism exploits women.
Yeah, especially.
And makes them a commodity, and
mm-hmm.
and it takes anything it can for money.
Yeah.
Anyone it can.
Well, it also shows conditioning too. Because that time where, Rupert, not Rupert. I keep thinking Rupert Thorne, which is like, I think he's like a character from Batman. But no, okay, Thorne.
Yeah.
He goes to investigate the initial murder. So that's how he meets Shirl and Fielding, the bodyguard.
Yeah. And
then he goes out and investigates, and then he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
And Shirl is in the middle of a party with other furniture.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I have to talk to you about the murder.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the bedroom."
Yeah.
So they go to the bedroom, and like the first thing he says is the bed.
Mm-hmm.
So she starts, pulling the covers back on the bed and getting it ready while he asks her questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they talk, they get undressed and they get into bed and then they start having sex. Well, we don't see the sex, but, just as he gets into bed and kisses her, that's when we, edit away.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it's so casual.
Yeah.
And like she already knows what he wants, and she just does it. She's just been conditioned to do it.
Yeah. And he's been conditioned to think of her as a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
As something to be used and exploited.
Yeah. Well, there's also the question of how often does he get laid outside?
Yeah.
Before Cheryl.
Yeah.
There's also that question too.
He is not a shining beacon of a character himself.
No. But society is such that he can't help but be, In
a way, yeah.
Like he's like, they were talking about cuts, when the sanitation crew came for Simonson's body, the guy was like, hey, I need to get my cut.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he was talking to the chief of detectives, his boss, they were talking about, cuts for everybody.
Yeah.
That's just how the system works.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know any better.
No, yeah. It reminded me of Heavy Metal, Harry Canyon episode.
Yeah.
But just that bureaucracy too.
And the corruption within it, but the corruption is part of the system.
Well, bureaucracy and corruption are bedfellows, I would say.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that bureaucracy is often a part of a lot of post-apocalyptic movies and media and stories.
Well, it's maybe not post-apocalyptic so much as dystopian.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. I'm thinking of Brazil.
Yeah.
And 1984. It's all reliant upon a system so big you can only see your small part of.
Yeah.
This movie gave a lot to Snowpiercer too. I think. Have you seen Snowpiercer?
I have not seen Snowpiercer.
Oh my gosh, Steve! Oh wow! Holy cow! You have to see Snowpiercer.
Okay.
It's so good.
Okay, that's what I hear.
It's great. You'll like it.
Okay, I believe it.
Anyways, you'll really like Snowpiercer.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Except, a little different. On a train, and it is just a little different, but same message,
Mm-hmm.
Or a similar message. Anyway, where was I going with this? I don't know, but just more exploitation and bureaucracy, and everyone is a cog, and
yeah.
It was really cool to see the party that
Shirley without the E.
Okay, all right. I'm just gonna call her Shirley.
Okay.
Shirley is having with all of her coworkers and friends in this empty apartment of her boss, or John or whatever, that was killed, because she now has the apartment for the end of the month until the next renter comes in, and then that renter gets to decide if he wants to keep her or get another one. Anyways, it was really interesting to see them all together interacting just as women. I'm so glad they had that in the movie, just because they do such a great job of building this world out, of establishing the setting so deeply, which is one of the things I think helps this movie stand out and stand the test of time. Anyways, but it's just so funny because they're just doing normal things, human things,
but they also have they are in a place of wealth in which they can do that,
right?
Yes, but that's also because they are exploited workers who are exploited by the wealthy elite. Because then we get that scene, that part where Charles walks in, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he starts slapping them around
and punching them.
He punches one. And then Thorne blew his load. So he comes out of the bedroom and is like, hey, what's going on here? And Charles is like, well, we give them 1 day off for themselves a month, but they break the rules, and this is what happens.
We don't have to give them a day off.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything because I'm just going to get mad about that.
No,
it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
It speaks for itself. We don't have to give them a day off.
Yeah.
But we do because we're nice. As the girls are crying and bleeding from their mouths.
It just reminds me of like, yeah. If they gave if in America, in the US, if we got a 3-day weekend, I think it would be over. You know what I'm saying? People would have too much free time and then they would revolt.
Well, I mean, that's why the French do whatever, they'll fucking strike and riot at the drop of a fucking hat. Like, and that's why it's like, no, you're going to not take one thing from us.
Yeah.
God, I wish
we're too proud. We're too proud of our work ethic.
Well, yeah, the Protestant work ethic runs very deep, and it's not healthy. Like, it's not healthy in the modern day and age. In fact, farmers, they got more days off than we do now. Because it was raining or whatever.
Yeah,
they didn't have to work, and if they just wanted to not work, they could. They didn't have a boss saying, "Hey, go work." You have to come into work. They're like, the crops will raise themselves today. Let me go fishing.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean,
which kind of makes me think of Captain Fantastic. They're like, just hanging out in the woods and being super liberals and doing quantum mechanics while hunting deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say too, gosh, dang it. What was I just saying? We
were talking about Cheryl and exploitation and the 3-week workday.
Oh yeah, the 3-week workday. Oh, the work ethic.
Yeah.
And I mean, that also goes with I'll suffer today, so in the afterlife I can be happier. My suffering doesn't matter. My suffering is inconsequential to, the good of the greater good.
The eternity that I will enjoy when I die.
Yeah. And it just
which may or may not happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, the cinematography.
I'm just going to delete all that.
That sounds good.
Okay, the cinematography. What do you think about this?
Well, okay. No, we can't go there yet. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
We'll go ahead.
Well, what else do you want to go to?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, like the funny thing about the cinematography here is like the haze. The haze effect.
Oh, when they're outside?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. That's my least favorite part of the movie. That's my least favorite part of the look of this movie. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, and you can just tell, like, all they did was like put like
they put a lens filter on.
No, I don't know. They didn't even put a lens filter. No. I think that was in post-production.
Oh.
And all they did was like they just put like a transition from green at the top that transitioned down to clear at the bottom, and they did that all in post. I think that's what happened.
That's very
because it's that bad. It looks that terrible.
It's so bad.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
Yeah,
but there are some great shots and great lighting. Like you just get that 70s feel.
When Roth is in the suicide room. When he's being interviewed about it, and they ask him what his favorite color is, and he says orange, and he asks, what's your favorite music? And he says classical.
Wait, hold on a second. Okay. Hold on a second. I got a detour. Roth, my favorite character. He's the GOAT.
He's so great.
He's the greatest. But what the fuck, orange?
Well,
is your favorite color? I'm sorry. I just had to say that. Anyways.
Well,
it's symbolic, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but bro,
rust.
come on.
It's the color of rust, and the world is rusty now. So
I was thinking it's the color of the sun.
Or that too, yeah.
At sunset.
That could be it too.
Yeah.
But so yeah, he gets bathed in the orange light while light classical music is playing, and he's just laying down and he's looking up at this super wide screen. It's like a theater screen.
It's like an IMAX.
Yeah, as clips of the beautiful world before are played.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the effects where he's bathed in the orange light.
Uh-huh.
But like the sides of the screen, so it's like him in profile.
Yeah.
And he's bathed in the orange light.
Yeah.
But there's no light on there's no orange light on the clips behind.
Right.
And you can tell like they did like
they spliced it together.
Yeah, they spliced it together.
They have either they've done in-camera tricks to get both.
No, that was not in camera. No. I'm sure that was not in camera.
Okay, so they put a blue screen up or something like that.
Or they just like you said, spliced. Yeah. I mean, which isn't bad. I mean,
No,
it didn't really take. It works in the same way that like a diopter works.
Yeah, I think they had a diopter shot.
Oh yeah. I think they did too.
In the exchange, in the room with the exchange.
Okay.
There's a person really close, and then a person a little further away, and it's like you can't get that with that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but I like that kind of splice diopter effect where he's bathed in that orange light, but then you see the beauty of the world, in the background of him.
Guess what the cinematographer also shot?
What?
Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Oh wow!
Uh-huh.
Huh?
And Howard the Duck.
Oh.
Anyways, I just thought I saw Star Trek and I wanted to tell you.
That's neat.
Yeah. But no, we have this beautiful 70s cinematographer.
Mm-hmm.
70s cinematography, just the style of like we have harsh lighting. We still have these moments of I'll call them like holy moments where they have like it's where you basically you spot the lights down. Mm-hmm. And you kind of put it directly on someone's face, but only part of their face.
Yeah.
It's a technique used often in old Hollywood movies. I'm thinking of one movie that I'm going to make you watch, mm-hmm. Stephen, In a Lonely Place. It's just like, it's Humphrey Bogart. Anything like, in the olden days, whenever some emotional moment would happen, they would just shine a light directly on their face, but only part of it, and make their eyes glow. And that happens a few times in this movie. I love them. Yeah,
it happened to Cheryl when Thorne comes by and then he wants to leave, but Cheryl's like, no, don't go. And so like she like says, oh, I'll do this for you. You can take a shower and I'll give you a rub down and I'll make you breakfast. Mm-hmm. And that's the shot they do. Yeah. Like everything else is, her face is shadowed except for her eyes.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And then there's another one of the sort of matriarch of the exchange too. Mm-hmm. We get another one of her eyes.
Oh.
Anyways, I just love that technique. That's one of my favorite techniques. Mm-hmm. I want to put that in any movie I ever make. If I make a movie, when I make a movie, mm-hmm. I just love that because also when you see it in movies like this, in movies that are older too, it's a bit of surrealism in a realistic environment, in a mm-hmm. realistic, whenever everything is trying to put you into this world, things like that, you don't get that type of lighting mm-hmm. In real life.
It's because they're the filmmakers are more focused on the feel of the movie rather than the reality of the movie.
Exactly, and I love that. I love mm-hmm. how blatant it is.
Yeah,
and it's always special when I see that. I love
mm-hmm.
it. Yeah. That's something I want to talk about. Also, I'm not also. I don't know. I just thought the shots were pretty wide too, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's old school filmmaking.
Yeah. No. Yeah. A lot of wides. A lot of
got to get that master
blocking.
Shot.
You have to, work your actors in blocking and mm-hmm. and the dollying. Like I'm thinking of like one of our first establishing apartment scenes with just Thorne and Saul mm-hmm. talking, and I was like, wait, is the dolly just going back and forth as they're walking around the apartment? just back and forth and back and forth, and it's working. It's just like, it works perfectly, and it's beautiful, and you don't need anything else, and it keeps your attention. It creates visual interest, and it shifts the power dynamics of who's talking, who's saying something funny, and it's just
the fundamentals.
Yeah, the fundamentals.
Master the fundamentals before you try to do something more complicated.
Yeah, or at least try the fundamentals.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, that's fair.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned blocking.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing about that is the stunt work.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about the Star Trek fight choreography that's in this movie?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's so Jason Bourne has nothing on Charlton Heston in this movie. Charlton Heston. Carlton Hester.
Charlton Heston.
Hester Prynne.
Jeez, now you got me fucking it up. Hold on. Charlton Heston. Yeah, Charlton Heston. And this movie has another Star Trek connection, by the way. Yeah. Brock Peters.
Who's that?
He plays the chief of detective.
Oh, he was awesome. Who is he? Who is he in Star Trek?
He's two people.
Okay.
He's Admiral Cartwright from Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home and Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. And he also plays hold on. Joseph Sisko, who's Benjamin Sisko's father, and that's from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Okay. And
in my headcanon, okay, because Brock Peters played both Admiral Cartwright and Joe Sisko. Okay, so they're related. The two families are related to each other. Like Admiral Cartwright's daughter married Joe Sisko's father.
Okay,
and that's why Joe Sisko looked like Admiral Cartwright.
That's cool.
That's my headcanon, though.
I don't know.
That's what I believe.
I zoned out.
That's what I believe.
I'm sorry.
But Brock Peters was in 3 movies with Charlton Heston. He was in this. He was in another movie. It's like 2 minutes something or other. I saw it on Wikipedia. But he was also in a movie called Major Dundee.
Okay.
So those of you who need to know that Brock Peters is a black man.
Yes.
If you don't know, Brock Peters is a black man.
Yes.
And Major Dundee, Charlton Heston plays Major Dundee, who's a Union general, who's the warden of a prison of Confederate soldiers.
Okay.
And Brock Peters plays a member of, an African-American squad.
Okay.
And Major Dundee has to use a company of the Confederate soldiers and march them down to Mexico to stop some bandits.
Oh, wow.
And Brock Peters goes with them.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a movie.
That sounds crazy.
Yes, it is crazy. Brock Peters, he was also he also played the bad guy. He was the voice actor for the bad guy in the cartoon Pirates of Darkwater.
No idea what that is, but it sounds cool.
It's neat. It only lasts in 1 season, though.
2-minute warning.
Okay.
Is one of them.
Yeah, that's the 2-minute one that I couldn't remember. And then Major Dundee and then Soylent Green.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Brock Peters is a guy.
I loved him.
Brock Peters is a guy.
He's a guy.
Yeah.
He's the chief of police in this movie.
Chief of detectives.
Chief of detectives. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was interesting because we see black people in this film.
Yeah. So
he is the
go ahead
highest position of power that a black person has in the film.
Yeah. So here's the thing about Charlton Heston.
Okay.
Later in life, like especially in the 90s, he was controversial for his stance regarding gun rights. He was like the president of the NRA.
He was the president of the NRA.
Yeah, during the 90s.
Charlton Heston.
And he was the one who said, you can grab it from my cold dead hands. Like he was the guy who said that.
Wow.
Yeah. He's also in Bowling for Columbine.
Okay.
Because what's his face?
Michael Moore?
Yeah, Michael Moore. He went to Charlton Heston's place and tried to interview him, about his stance on gun rights following the Columbine school shooting.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, Charlton Heston was very old.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't, mentally at his best, let's say.
Right.
So some people feel that Michael Moore took advantage of him in that way. But here's the other thing is that Charlton Heston, he fought for civil rights, during the 60s, So
nice.
I'm kind of a fan of Charlton Heston.
Mixed bag.
Well, here's the thing. People like their guns for different reasons.
Yeah.
And I think, I would like to think that Charlton Heston feels that gun rights are a part of civil rights, just like voting rights.
Okay.
And there are some people who believe that. No, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But that's what I choose to believe so I can like Charlton Heston.
Okay.
Yeah. And I am a critic of that thinking. It's like, but.
Gotcha.
He's not, I think the reasons why was for gun rights isn't the worst reasons.
Yeah, I get
different
you.
people are
I
for different reasons.
I grew up with a lot of people who were for gun rights for, not the worst reasons, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And because of that, if you look at his movies, like throughout the 60s and 70s, they feature African-American actors, relatively prominently. So, well, maybe not prominently, but they're there.
I was just laughing because like one of the two main ones just gets slapped the shit out of by him.
well, yeah, that's true.
But that has nothing to do with them being black.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just funny. It's just funny.
He slapped her for other reasons. Ray said nothing to do with it.
Absolutely.
It's because she was a woman. Wait, no. That's Sean Connery. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No, it's because she was trying to.
Yeah, she should have stayed out of it. It was a man fight.
Oh God, Steve.
What? What? I'm not wrong.
That was that's a fucked up thing.
She should have stayed out of it. What do you mean?
I don't know. It's a man fight. I mean, she's protecting her boyfriend,
Yeah, but if you protect your boyfriend, you're gonna get hit.
Okay, yeah. That doesn't mean she should have stayed out of it.
Well, if she didn't want to get hit, she should have.
That's fair.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
It just sounded crazy that she should have stayed out of it. Well, it was a man fight.
Well, yeah, hey.
It's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Moving on. I don't remember the score that much. I remember some in the beginning that I liked.
Well, I mean, I don't think there was much.
No.
There wasn't a score throughout the movie, was there?
Oh, I don't think so.
It was only during certain scenes. Like there was one at the beginning, where we got the pictures of, pastoral, rural.
Oh, that was a weird intro.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but it establishes the theme and the tone of the movie.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
I mean, how else are you going to do it?
I just didn't like the music, and it was tonally wrong to me.
I don't think so. Because, at first it shows the beauty, but then as the pictures, show the urban, how urban areas destroy pastoral beauty, it becomes more atonal, and that's the theme of the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. Like, I didn't mind it at all. I thought it was good. Yeah. So we get that, and then we get the montage. We get the eating montage with Saul and Thorne eating beef and fruit and fresh vegetables for Thorne the first time in his life.
Yes.
So that was a bit of music, but I don't know if that was original or like a classical score?
I don't know either. I was actually watching it and I made a note of the no music and how this movie is just paced differently than the movies of today. You know, like,
and also you don't have music telling you how to feel.
Yeah,
but you don't need it in this movie.
No.
It speaks for itself, like the visual storytelling.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
There's just a moment where Thorne is just walking, I think like out of the shower or something, and he just goes over to the bed to put something down, and we just see the whole movement. And like, it's not necessarily important to the story, but it just was there and it was nice.
Well, I think that's the lack of the MTV editing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying too.
Yeah. They let things breathe a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And in regards to the sound, like I think it's great where, we get the Roth deathbed scene and it goes to the classical music like all the way, and then it stops. And then, they take the body away, and then we have the sequence where Thorne follows it all the way to the Soylent facility. And then, there's no dialogue.
No.
There's definitely no music.
Mm-mm.
It's just like the sounds of, like ambient sounds of what's going on, especially in the factory.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's great. Like, that's just pure visual storytelling.
Yeah.
And like putting all the pieces together in your head, because we see, as Thorne goes through the facility, like we see the journey of the bodies as they're dumped, put on conveyor belts, dumped in a vat. And in the next room that he comes out, there's a conveyor belt of Soylent Green.
Yeah.
And it's at that point where, a factory worker sees him and he gets chased out.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So I just love that quiet. I mean, it's not a quiet scene, but it's like, I love that there's no dialogue.
Yeah, right. It doesn't hold your hand through it necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, it does, but it doesn't tell you.
Yeah.
This is what happens, and this is what happens, and this is what happens.
Yeah. And it's full of those industrial sounds.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And because there's no dialogue, I think it forces people to watch it, because you can't just listen to what's going on. You have to watch it.
That's a great point. I've never even thought about that.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Good point for watching it on like TV or something.
Yeah. Or just in general in filmmaking, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's another scene. There, Thorne is on riot duty. And it's Tuesday. You know what that means?
Yeah. Soylent Green Day.
Tuesday's Soylent Green Day.
Gonna play French Onion Soup Day on Wednesdays.
But the assassin is about to, do what he does to Thorne. And they just started a riot because they ran out of Soylent Green. Everyone is running around rampaging, and then they bring in the dozers.
No. They're called the Scoops.
The Scoops.
Yeah, they're called the Scoops. Yeah. And what they are is they're garbage trucks with buckets like a front end loader has.
Yeah.
And so they just like move in, and then they scoop people up, and they just dump them in the back of the dump truck.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a terrifying scene. It's like, it's wild. Because you actually see all these actors just get flipped up, dumped in this truck.
Well, I don't think we actually see them move from the bucket into the back of the garbage truck, do we?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Well, like, it's not the back of the garbage truck. It's the bed. We see them fall into the bed of the garbage truck.
Okay.
We don't see the garbage truck like, compact or anything like that.
No. But, I thought I was watching to make sure, because I always thought, we see the scoop lift up with the actors in them, but I was, I wasn't sure if we saw them fall from the bucket into the back. I don't think I saw it.
I'm pretty sure I saw it.
Okay.
And at least one shot.
Okay. Well, that was the stuntman they got.
Yeah. And I mean, they had padding in the back, I'm sure, outside of the camera.
Yeah.
They had pads down there that were,
Oh, that was not a real garbage truck.
No.
No.
No. But anyways,
The inhumanity of it. Like, we were talking about exploitation and, seeing people as, just things. Well, that's another part of that too.
Yeah. And another part that stood out to me, and I remembered it from watching the first time too, was the assassin is trying to shoot Thorn and he just shoots two innocent people. They're just dead.
And, well, it also goes with, the movie's theme of overpopulation, like the streets are so crowded, he can't help but shoot other people. And that happens in the climax where Fielding chases Thorn into the church and they have that fight, and, everybody else around them gets hurt as they fight each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brings me to another, holy cow, great character is the priest.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah.
It's like
another African-American actor too.
Yes. Yeah. Lincoln Kilpatrick is his name.
Okay.
He's just, I just love, there's just parts of movies that just feel so profound. And that character is just one of them, that he's just like completely exhausted, drained of all energy, sweating, and, trying to move beds around almost in his sleep. And Charlton Heston is trying to get answers out of him because he knows that, what's his face? Simonson went to him and did confession. So Paul knows something, a deep, dark secret that, could unravel the mystery. But it's just like this crazy, this beautiful image of a character who is just devoting himself completely to others. And, he's like, do you need room? Do you need space to stay or whatever? Thorn, as he's, almost falling asleep. Anyways, it was just like,
well, I don't know if he was like falling asleep or if he was blind. Like, I thought he might have been blind, but I wasn't sure about that.
I didn't get blind from his performance.
Because he didn't always look at Thorn.
Yeah, I got exhaustion from that.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too.
Anyways, I just love that character, sort of still shot, sort of vignette. Yeah.
Where he knows that what he's doing is, in the end futile, and yet what else is he going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as he gets shot while he's giving confession to just a line of
people.
Yeah,
that's right. Fielding shoots him, assassinates him. While he's in the confessional booth.
Yeah, with just a huge line of people all lined up to give their confessions or whatever. Also crazy that the Catholic Church is still a thing there. Still, I mean, we know the Catholic Church's stance on, population. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. I'm not actually sure what you mean, but
they're against birth control.
Okay. That is what you were saying. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha.
Yeah. Which doesn't help matters, which I'm sure the filmmakers thought about that.
Probably so. I'm sorry. I'm so stumbly. I'm tired, guys. Apologize. Chuck Connors is great.
Yeah. The Rifleman.
Yeah. Starring Chuck Connors.
Yeah.
What's up?
So in that show, he has like a tween son.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. There's an episode where like he rescues him or something. And he gives him a full-on kiss right on the lips. And then hugs him close. And I'm like, oh, well. Different time, I guess. It's not creepy.
No.
But it's a little weird.
Steve, I love you so. I don't know why that's making me laugh so hard. It's just like, yeah, that is weird. It reminds me of there's a cartoon called The Amazing World of Gumball. Have you seen it?
No.
There's an episode where like they all have to get a kiss from their grandma, and she's like a notorious like mouth kisser or something.
Okay.
Or maybe she's a cheek kisser. I don't remember. And he like accidentally kisses her mouth. It's just funny.
Okay.
It's just the funny. I like that trope of what you're saying. I like it. It's funny.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm just thinking of them as actors. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Anyways, Chuck Connors is great.
Yeah, he's great.
Edward G. Robinson is pretty great too.
The best. What'd you think of What'd you think about Lee Taylor Young, the actress who played Cheryl?
She was good too. She was great. Interesting. Like, her character is just so interesting because she's this sort of, I don't know. She's kind of like, she has no authority. She has no autonomy.
Yeah.
Right. But
she has no agency.
Yeah. But she also develops feelings for Thorne. And I don't know. She's just, we don't get a lot of her, to be honest. We get her, asking him in the end to not call her furniture, which I think is the least he can do. But it also shows you the conditioning that he's used to. Even though I think he says it towards the end, I think it's kind of a joke. But it's like,
well, it's also her way of life too. Like, she's like one of those women, like before women could go into the workplace, where she's reliant on a man to provide for her.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's because she's furniture, and so she's almost like a throwback to housewives, or homemakers in that way. Where she just stays at home and tends to the house and also acts as a sex object for the man. So it's a throwback to that. And and Thorne treats her in that way. For sure. But then, it's like more than that,
Yes, which is what is missing from, her relationship, one of the things missing, obviously, with her relationships with everyone else is, there's no relationship. It's just a...
There's no... Well, I mean, we kind of get it with Simonson, because Simonson seems to treat her with affection too. And then Thorne does, but the tenant who moves in, that's not there. That will never be there.
No. But no, I thought she did a good job. I don't remember, she didn't get a lot of screen time or a lot to work with, but I think she did a good job of, getting out.
What do you think of Dick Van Patten?
He was only in the movie for a few things. Oh, also I looked up what he was in.
Okay.
He was in the Disney movie Shaggy Dog.
Okay.
He was in, he was in Westworld.
Okay.
And Spaceballs.
Yeah, he's been in a couple of Mel Brooks movies.
Yeah. Oh, no, not Shaggy Dog. Shaggy D.A.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah. Soylent Green was before he made it big. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It was always kind of weird to see. So.
Yep. Fantastic movie.
Okay.
I'm about done.
Okay.
You?
Yeah.
I have a lot of things written down, but
I do too. But well, I mean, we really front-ended, front-loaded this episode.
I mean, just the last. I think it should have ended. Okay, I don't know. I just think the ending was weak in a way.
Well, how would you have ended
it? Just live. Bang, 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 bang. Thorne is talking to her on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Just live.
And then the gunmen come after her. Well, that's a much darker ending.
No, I'm saying just live, and then we just see him die, basically, or we just see them shoot. And then cut to black.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, or I don't know.
No, I can see that. He just goes, just live, and then you cut to black, and then you hear gunshots.
Yeah, something like that. Or, I don't know, even I don't know, man.
Because the thing is, as now, it's ambiguous. Like, there's an ambiguous ending. You know, because he gets the message out. You know, he says, you know, what the conspiracy is. But he tells it to the chief of detectives, who can be corrupt. You know, he can get on the take because they had that whole to-do about the Soylent company coming to, you know, a member of the Soylent company visited the chief of detectives and told him to close the case. And then Thorne wouldn't sign off on that.
This is the same member that hired the assassin, correct?
Yeah, I think his name is Donovan, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
So he told somebody else, but it's somebody whose silence can be bought. And he says it while he's been shot up, so he could be dying.
Yeah.
So it's a very ambiguous ending.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're hopeful.
Yeah.
I don't see much ambiguous from it because the world is already planktonless. And
that's true too.
Anyways,
that's true too.
I just don't know if there's much they can do about it now.
Yeah.
And there is a part of me that's like, well, what else do you do with dead bodies? Why not turn them into food? There's that part of me too.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a difference between turning people into food because they're one of the last resources we have for food, and you know, doing it,
profiting off of them.
Well, that too. But you know, but just doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and you know, how we treat our dead is really important. You know, it's very important. Yeah, it says something about the society. You know, how you know, even though they're dead, just because somebody dies doesn't mean that they're no longer cared by the people who remember them or the people who they loved and who loved them while they were alive. You know, so that's why we're careful about how we treat our dead.
Interesting.
And there's also, you know, biological reasons too, but there's also spiritual ones too, like the Native American myth of the Wendigo or Wendigo.
Okay.
Yeah. From what I know of that myth, you know, people who are cannibals, they get transformed into the monster Wendigo, where they need to eat more flesh, and yeah, from what I understand. So yeah, it's important. And it's also that thing where, you know, again, just because they're dead, they were a person. So they should still have the dignity of being treated like a person. So, yeah. I think capitalism will ruin it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, interesting that Thorne is a cop. Just interesting. You know?
Well, it's a detective story. So
yeah.
You need a detective.
I didn't need to say that.
Okay, it's okay.
It's too late in the game to say that.
Before we go, we'd like to give a shout out to the bestest friends of the show on our Patreon. Thank you, Brian, for your support of the show. If you'd like to be one of our bestest friends of the show, then check out our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/yourmoviemymoviepodcast. And thanks for listening. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. That is one thing to be thankful for. Go outside and enjoy the trees while we still have them.
Yes.
Thank you all for listening. This has been Your Movie, My Movie, and that was
Soylent Green. His people.
Hey,